Yeah, it's just I play something that is. I like it how when I use this synthesizer, it's like crazy. Arpeggiator. So if this is what happens if I will just keep the key, but when I just very softly touch it, it's create this kind of delay, echo vibe. So if we just like recap something from the last session and also in general, so we talk about racks. And also you can recognize racks like what we say with the icon here. Mm-hmm. And now if I want to just unfold it, so like show devices, and then it's revealed like this kind of multi-layered chain or something that you see here. So just to show you that this how you can create this kind of arpeggiator stuff.
Oh, you created that?
No, this one no.
Okay. How they created it.
But how they created it, you can also create it. It's not that complex. Like you just need to be familiar with how to do it, with the architecture, and also what each button does. You know, like how it's emerged to this phase. But just to show you that, like you have also this one that is nice device. This one is the analog. This is on another synthesizer. And they look very complex. And they are actually kind of complex in a way, all this kind of synthesizer, because you have a lot of things that you can change. And something about the single flow. So generally, I just want to mention something about synthesizer, and then maybe we can continue to something else.
Sure.
But similarly to how we think about audio systems, so they have like this kind of single flow and waveform, and what we say about buffer size and all of these kind of things. So they also connect to how you create synthesizer and sound in general, because now the single flow, it's also from left to right. And it's mean that also like each synthesizer, usually they look like that. So if I'm going to the devices and the instrument, and I pick something, like for example, the synthesizer like...
Ooh, I just thought of a question about that.
The analog, so this one is the same thing like here, but they just had like a lot of effect on it, and audio effect and so on. But just something that it would be interesting for you when you start to explore sounds. So usually they from left to right, and usually they start from the oscillators, and oscillator mean basically the sound source. So here the sound source is also defined by the shape of the waveform. Cool. And the octave, and this is the semitone. So like also here you play with the detuning what you say. So usually it's from here. So it's related to this kind of aspect of like octave, and then semitones, and then detune, it's more like precise, you know? So you can go to the quarter sounds and all of this kind of Arabic like sound, and if you want. And then they also have noise that make them sounds more like crunchy or like clipping vibe, clipping style of the analog systems. And then you have here like one oscillator, like the first oscillator and the second oscillator. And actually, if you now look about it, they identical. Like all these kind of things here, it's identical to what you see here. So it's just like duplication. Like until from here, from the oscillator 2, until the level here, it's completely the same. So actually it's look more complicated than what it is, because it's the same thing.
Why does it have two?
So because you have two sound sources.
Okay.
So you can create more, like you can say sophisticated, but you can say you create just different sounds with more oscillator.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
so that's like a bare synth right there, just like an empty sort of...
Yeah, this is an empty one.
You see most
And they just, the default mode here is basically, this is the shape of the oscillator, the triangle.
So I didn't hear what you said, that you have two sound sources going in? to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oscillator basically mean a sound source. So the sound source, it's electrical circuit of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
and then like it's defined by the shape. It's defined by here it's the dB. It's also the volume of it, the gain staging of it, and then it's also you can change the
Mm-hmm.
octave and semitone and ditune, and then it's go to the filter. Here is the frequency filter. Usually, what filter does in general, it's basically it's emit the frequencies in a specific shape. Like you can say it this way. Also, you can say it's basically kind of a stainer. Like if you want to narrow specific frequencies, like it's kind of
It's like a pass-through, like you
pass. Yeah.
Mm.
So you have different band pass, and then it's like different names for the band pass, like low pass, high
Mhm.
pass. So high pass is from the high to the low, and low pass from the low to the high, and so on. And you also can see it if I'm now I will drag a spectrum, so you will see how it's actually affect the spectrum of the frequencies, because now the filter, what it does, it's cut or it's boost. It can be also cut, and
Mhm.
also it can boost some frequencies. And also in the equalizer, we saw it some, I think we saw it once, or maybe you weren't here, but basically with EQ, you have different points
Yeah.
and different sections that you can either boost the frequencies or cut them or
Yeah.
reduce them.
Take the lows off, take
Yeah.
the highs off, stuff like
So
that.
actually also the same thing in terms of filters. It's also very like equalizer. It's actually EQ. It's another type of frequency.
Yeah.
Like a filter. And then the resonance. That's all like how it's resonance, the frequencies and stuff.
Yeah, what is the difference in resonance?
Well, it's hard to I
So
think.
like how long it rides for almost? Like
Yeah.
its length?
It's like how they,
Ah.
I think, spread. Like also it says here the bandwidth and
Oh, yeah.
one the filter
Mm.
cutoff. Like so, it's how they, it's allow more frequencies around the specific place that you
Right.
put the filter to get in and get out.
Yeah.
But it's much better to just listen to it and see what it does, because it depends a lot on the sound source.
Right.
It depends a lot on the octave. Like it depends on a lot of variables. So in general, all these kind of bottoms, like and all these kind of things that you have, all the function, it can be very depends on what you do with the sounds. Like it, I think it's much better to just try it and see, trial and error, because a lot of the time, by the mathematics of it and how it goes and everything, it sounds one thing, and then you change something, and sometimes it's not like very actually like comprehensive, or it's not like logical in a way, but this what created this kind of interesting sound. And also I want to connect it to mix, because mix, when we talk about mix, so you have the kind of the basic way to define mix, that basically it's how you balance multi-channel or multi-layered tracks and then make them to one channel, and then how you also pan the sounds, how you make them balance in terms of volumes and so on. And also it's come to all the audio effects. And also this thing, like, it depends a lot, because sometimes, like I was hearing a lot of mixer professionals that they basically say that actually the best mix sometimes is without any logical progression. It's just you very dedicate to your ears what you hear, and you listening to it, and then like what happened that after a while you just feel like, oh, this is the right thing. And if you look about the computer, what you did in terms of like how everything it works, it's not logical. But it, so another thing to notice about mix, that if we always search for visualization, like there is a lot of visual tools like oscilloscope. This is one tool that you can see. I can show you. It's like I have the plugin here. For example, no, where is it? Splice. There's also a lot of plugins. Valhalla, it's recommended one. A lot of people recommend this for. Valhalla is the name. It's
Wow.
Valhalla, and it's a very good one for reverb and stuff like that. They have a lot of good like audio effects, and also if I'm Vital, it's another one that is very famous. Splice, yeah, you know Splice already. That is like also built in now.
What are you looking under right now? Like, is it mixing tools? I can't read that.
Plugin?
This is
Oh,
plugin.
plugins,
Why
okay.
it's also not focusing. This is just the plugins, and I want to show you the oscilloscope that I have here, and just it's
And the plugins,
Wave
you
Observer.
You just drag it the same way you do an
Yeah.
effect or anything, and then you just add it to that rack.
Kind of, like for example, if I want to, this is like, it depends on the plugin. If it's audio effect plugin, or if it's a synthesizer, it's different.
Okay.
Would you take a screen grab of your plugins and share it in the group?
Like a screenshot?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Like just that one, like.
Mm-hmm. So this, for example, this is Wave Observer. So it works now like an audio effect in a way,
Okay.
just to show you how the wave look like. And basically you have it here, the
Thank you.
this is the device itself, so this is how it look like. And plugin, they work slightly different because it's like third-party devices. So basically you don't have all the setup here, you have it in like separated window.
But if you close that, where's your plugin then?
Oh, it's still here,
Oh,
but
it's
now
there.
if I want to see it, I need to
Oh, okay, alright, gotcha.
plug this thing.
Okay,
So it's also show high, like you see, show high.
yeah.
Oh,
alright.
it's still, the
Oh,
focus
it's
is
not going to
bad.
show anything here?
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
It says
Like you have to have the.
here,
Let's see.
like show hide plugin window.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all the editing thing is not going to be built in.
Gotcha.
In
It's a
Ableton,
plugin.
it's a
Gotcha.
plugin, it's separated.
Okay.
Right.
So you can
This
see
is-
it plugged in there,
Mhm.
but to actually use it, you have to open up the window.
So now if I want to see what is going on here with, so this is like a tool for mixing, like oscilloscope, but this is what I'm saying now, that it's actually not that let's say it's not that efficient sometimes, because you try to visualize everything, but it's not necessarily always we need to visualize sound, you know, like it can explain you something, but sometimes we cannot explain everything in terms of how it's gonna mix. And a lot of people, they say like you need to be more devoted to your ears rather than to your eyes in terms of music.
And about that.
And I think it's quite good, like rule of thumb, that to just notice that, like if you need to now decide which one you more like favor of, so probably go to your ear senses and not like to the eye senses in terms of like how you appreciate what you do now.
But an equal part of that would be what would be where you want the music to be listened to, like what you're mixing to. So if you're mixing to living room speakers or headphones,
Mm-hmm.
or like for people to play on their phone, it's all gonna sound like, right?
In terms
you
of,
kind of have to
yeah.
first choose where you want the music to be played,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Also, yeah, you have different setup. It depends on what you do. But I just want to show you, for example.
Or what is your default for that?
Do
Like,
you mix your own music or do you go with somebody?
Well, actually, this is kind of my, let's say, the newest field for me, like that I more and more explore it and have more experience with it. But I started just with playing around,
mhm.
mixing sometimes, and a lot of the time actually, it's separated people. Like the production people, they don't do the mixing a lot of the time. They separate this kind of task, and also mastering. Sometimes it's like for like expensive kind of, let's say the more prestigious studios, they separate all the workflow. Like for example, the production will be like a few producers with their musician and all of that, and then they will send it to the mixing guy, and the mixing guy will do it, and then he will send it to the mastering. So it's like three different domains. Like
I
sometimes.
don't know if that's always a good thing.
it's true.
My
It's not.
experience, I've mixed records in the past. Like I've made the record, had mixers and masters. I used to do a lot of like with really good people. I would trade them shit back in the day. Like I was a designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I brought records to people and they changed them a lot. And
Yeah.
you get so used to living with how your
Mm.
record sounds. That's why I was saying just to drop the shit on the master track is so special because I've sat with people for 12 hours on a fucking song. And at the end
true.
the next day you're like, man, this isn't,
It's
I
not what
liked
you
it
want.
before.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
they go in
And
they
this is
like,
a very
there's
good,
good
important
producers,
point.
like there's hip hop producers that 2-track everything. They won't ever let anyone mix because they love the way the shit
Mhm.
sounds, push it out, and it's
Yeah, and
sick.
why why it is happen all the time. And now I have a friend just told me that he took his stuff to a mixer, like a mix guy, and basically after a few songs, and they work together all the time, he just realized he just changed it to the not to the worse. And this is something to notice because mixing actually, like when we think about mixing, is also connected to not just like balancing the sound, so also the way that you want to balance it is very subjective because for you want the vocal to be higher than the bass, but for them it will be different, like the bass will be higher than the vocal. So you have formula also to these kind of things, but I think in general formulas for this stuff, it's like also change how we think about use, like if you now always follow the harmonics based on the formulas, like also it's like we'll make it
But, okay,
not very
so-
creative in a way, but I want to connect it to mixing. So in general, it's a very subjective thing, and a lot of the producers they also make it along the way, and we did it already along the way because when you now put the bass to the side, to the left side, so this is already a mixing aspect of what you do now. Like this is a mixing.
When you,
aspect.
When you put the bass.
Because you put it to the left side.
What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying like in general. We did it in one of the time. Like we just, for example, you
Oh, like
you
the
activate
track,
the
you put
the
it to
A,
No, you pan the sound.
You
Oh,
pan the
pan it
sound.
to the left, okay.
pan it to the left. Or
Right, right,
if you now also like open the reverb. This is also like actually this is a mixing
Yeah.
tool. This is a mixing aspect of what you do now.
But maybe the wave observer, kind of to your original question, I think, if we're mixing in our house,
Mm-hmm.
we can't hear back to the club the frequency that would play with you like a real sub. So you use one of these plugins and you can
Yeah.
achieve that visually because you can't sonically achieve that in
That's
your
true.
house.
Yeah.
But
yeah. This is a good point as well.
So
But
I can
not
see
necessarily.
that, like, because we can't hear certain things that,
Mhm.
right, with the right setup, maybe.
Yeah, that's also a good point. So
And
also
so-
like something for a good mix. This is one of the most kind of obvious thing to mention.
Mhm.
But a studio, it's basically the instrument of how you create a mix. So the monitors, the acoustic panels, all of these kind of things, it's very crucial for the mix. And this is why also it's kind of separated sometimes because the mixing people, they have these kind of studios that's very expensive, and they either because they created it just because they want to make a studio and they know that it's like financially will support them, you know, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And this is why also like it's separated in a way because some people understand like, oh, for this dude like we can record it and it will be perfect because how the room reflects sound, how it's like observe the bass.
Yeah.
I can very clearly understand how to do my mix because if I'm like now listening to it from the speakers, so I have a lot of like preset setting that like already from the Mac how they process sounds and the single flow here.
Yes.
So this is why it's like bias in a way.
So can I
Yeah.
basically like I know for example that I am going to if I do anything it would be to make like an MP3 or whatever for to send to somebody to listen to. Maybe they would open it in iTunes.
Mhm.
Like now is there must be somewhere.
This is mastering.
Yeah, so there must be somewhere though some hints about like, oh, the bass should be around this, you know, this should be this, some kind of map for
Yeah, you have these kind of formulas. For
Right.
mastering is more objective,
Oh, okay.
but this is mastering.
That's mastering. That's not mixing.
Mixing
Okay.
is not related
But
to
they
Yeah,
have
mixing-
they have good master presets that if you just take like for me maybe this is I'm so excited about this because
Yes.
it's what I was saying last time. You make your song and you
Right.
fucking drag the mastering thing and you can A/B it and it goes from being like thin to there's 20 different ones. So it'll make it
Yeah.
bigger, it'll make it
Like
wider, it'll
Club or headphones.
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you
basically.
will ask this kind of thing for master dude, he will tell you this is
No,
not
it's
enough.
terrible.
It's not
definitely
enough.
no,
It's
no.
not good.
Well, for your friends in MP3.
No, I know about
Of
mixing
course.
because
Until you get famous.
I've made films.
Until you get famous
so-
and someone's
Yeah.
like, yo, come into the studio and let's spend 10 grand on your mixing.
Yeah.
Or 100
And
grand,
it's
just
fine,
fucking
yeah.
do your thing and put the little master thing on it and send it
Exactly.
to the
No,
home.
because my ambition is
Well,
at most to just like send it to.
so it depends on which platform you're gonna send it to. Like if it's Spotify or Apple Music.
Probably
Sometime-
Apple Music, let's say.
So go to Apple, like check what is the mastering for Apple Music setup.
Ah.
Like they have protocols
Okay.
in terms of the
There you
headroom.
go.
I know that like
Headroom.
headroom, like how much gain staging you reach. So a lot of the time now, the new songs, the new things, like you hear it like that is very, very loud because they always, because digital system, they allow you to kind of reach to this kind of loudness
There's
in a
also
way.
good, like, you would know this, that there's AI and there's like other companies now you could just send your MP3s to
Mm.
or even just upload them and they master them like,
Yeah.
through AI real quick right
Wow.
back to you for like 10
Yeah, you
bucks a
have also
track,
this
you
kind of
know?
tools. I never use them.
Me neither.
But back to the other question about mixing, which is like, would you ever mix on headphones or would you
Yeah.
would you go
Yeah,
to
of course,
a
sure.
speaker? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you have a specific like specific monitors for mixing, a specific
Yeah.
headphones for mixing.
If you were doing the best, you.
This
could-
is very
yeah.
bad for mixing,
Right.
like this speaker.
Okay.
And this is JBL normal one. If it's so, it's also not good for them
Yeah.
because they what they do, and this is also a microphone. If you think about microphone, the dynamic one, for example, the dynamic one will boost specific
Right.
frequencies,
React to it. Yeah.
and it's kind of a filter in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same thing about like monitors and speakers like this. Like this is a speaker, so it will boost specific frequencies, and it will cut some of the frequencies that you don't hear in the software. But now when you will send it to a different platform, like a different speaker
Mm-hmm.
and a different place, so you will hear it differently. But another thing that is very important to note is that like you want also to be suitable to this kind of speakers. So like a good mixing is also like to check it from different speakers and
Right.
different headphones and see how it goes, and
Yeah.
because not everyone have this kind of
Yeah, you gotta
clean
go, like, in the
monitors
mixing
and
room,
clean.
headphone, then put it in a room,
It makes.
and then take it to your car, and then put it here and just
Yeah.
feel that shit and
This
everything.
is it makes my perfectionist self like because I've done this before with
Mhm.
film, you know, like TV film.
Okay.
So you go and you get it mixed, and then you hear it in the cinema,
Yeah.
and then you're like
It's not exactly.
Yeah.
the
change.
whole time and you're just a little bit like I
feel
just
you.
Yeah.
So
And it's
I
more or
have
less
this
the
thing.
same. And we need to say that it's basically sort of it can be an OCD
Yeah, it's
OCD
really
behavior, and
trigger.
it can obsess you in a way. And this was also one of the friends, like now so many times spent on it, and
Oh boy.
it's a bit like we need to just divorce from it, like say okay, this is
I don't
that's
think
it.
it's even like it's cool knowledge to know that exists, but like where we're at, I don't think that
Totally.
shit is like
Yeah.
Also, I think maybe music is more forgiving, like depending on the kind of music. But let's say like there's a pretty big range of like what's gonna sound good
yeah.
with the dynamics, hopefully.
Versus
Yeah, I think so.
cinema.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
cinema where you're
for
like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
ambient sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically now if we just see what, let's put it, this is the Wave Observer, let's put it on, for example, let's put it on this, so I'll put it here, and what I can start to see, it's also show me it from left to right, and also it show me like the waveform. If I want to just pause it, for example, this is also nice because you can start to analyze like lab stuff.
Mm.
And one of the things like that started to be crucial we've observed that like probably we're not gonna do it from our ears, but we can hear it sometimes. But there is the whole field of psychoacoustics, and it's also very connected to mixing. So I would recommend you also to explore this field a bit, like psychoacoustic. What's going on?
How do you get two plugins? Like you just Google the plugin you want.
Mm-hmm. And most like a lot of them they just synchronize.
Psychoacoustics mean like the effect certain frequencies and sounds have on your brain?
How we perceive sound, like this, like our perception basically. And it's a very interesting field for me. I really like it. And there is like a specific effect that you have in psychoacoustic that connected to the mix, because now when you know this kind of things that is inherent in us,
All those pop
now you
music
can
mixes,
understand
those-
better how to, for example, boost something without boost it in terms of like the gain staging. So like actually it's one effect that's very cool for me. It was like to understand that we actually hear some frequencies louder than other frequencies, louder. So what it's
some
mean-
It's like
frequencies.
color.
So we have a specific range that our perception basically sync and tune to these kind of frequencies. For example, the around the 3,000 frequencies, like 3,000 hertz. Basically, we hear these frequencies as louder as other frequencies.
So you don't want anything more unless intentionally you want to be aware of that.
Yeah, we want to be aware of it when you put like these kind of frequencies, like vocals and stuff
so
like
those
that.
are hertz on the left side. That's what that's showing. Those numbers.
Here,
Yeah.
this is like just the loudness of it, like the dB,
Okay.
and this is like the waveform.
Yeah.
And the waveform, you have also this kind of phase. Maybe you hear about phase. Phase is another aspect of mixing, and not just mixing. Also, it's connected to synthesizer, because everything in then it's interconnected. You know.
Phase is like where things are exactly the same, right? Isn't there something like that?
Yeah, like you can say it. Phase is basically how the shape of the waveform it's look like, and it depends on like you have, for example, this is a specific phase now, but if it's gonna be opposite to it, like mirror it in the opposite way,
Yeah.
so it's like it's opposite to phase, or in a way like you can say you can say it's also out of phase. Like you have different terms that relate to phase, and basically also it's connected to other stuff that like it's more deep, like more like something that relate to psychoacoustic
Goes
again,
deeper.
and like auditory systems and how they work. And when you have like phase that cancel each other, this is something that relates to mixing.
When I used to DJ, and I would do two double vinyls at the same time, and when you run them in the middle, they'd make what I would thought was called phasing, where they're like it like starts to make a weird, I don't know, like do you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's exactly it's like
Interference.
Yeah,
almost,
but yeah, like
Because
weird-
yeah,
together and
they
make
come
it
together to a specific channel,
It's like
specific track,
singing
and then
with
what
two notes.
happened?
That's the same
Yeah,
way
I think so.
Yeah, so they boost specific frequencies and
Yeah.
cut specific
Yeah,
frequencies.
yeah,
This is what
exactly.
happened,
Okay.
and you have this kind of. I can show you if it's interesting you. Like I have a book for
I'm
it,
really
but
interested to hear Abby's music. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, I just wanted to, because I tried to download the plugin and I can't, it's not even in my downloads. What do you, oh, is it? Is it my trash?
Mm,
But the thing
Yeah.
you were just showing us, the wave controller. Like, what
this is a wave analysis. Yeah,
wave
wave
analysis,
observer.
so
Uh.
what are you gonna like? Let's say you wanted to change something. Why would you? I don't know. If you move those buttons, what
So
happens?
actually, it's connected to the phase,
Okay.
and is to show me better what kind of waveform I have. So where is my attack, where is my release, sustain, and so on, and also in related to like how loud it is. It's also
Can you
connected to the
manipulate
arm.
through there?
Oh, sorry.
Can you manipulate the waves? through
No, this is just
there?
to see it,
Okay.
and also to see like other aspect of it, like the left right
They
stuff.
don't have something that good in
Hmm?
inside Ableton? I'm surprised. I'm surprised they wouldn't have something like that, I guess.
You have in Max for Live, but I don't know. I found this one. Someone recommend me about it, so just download this one.
When you download a plugin, and I went through the process, and then you have
So
well,
you
maybe
go.
if I
Yeah, it's actually something that can be a bit pain in the ass because sometimes they not actually read the plugin, so you need to go
oh,
to the plugin and rescan it, and also browse to the like you need to put it in the right folder.
yeah, what folder is that? What
So you go to plugin in the preferences,
uh
and then you have here. This is like custom folder. This is VST
browse
3 folders, and then you can browse, and also you can change the location, and basically it's read like the plugins from this kind of folders and rescan it after you download a new plugin, and then you can see it there. And if it's not working, and sometimes it's not working, and I don't know why it's not working sometimes, and I put it in the right folder and I did what everything it does, and but that it didn't read
got
it.
it.
Nice.
Creative Observer.
Yeah. So yeah, it's another tool to use, and it's another thing to use, like also plugins in general, and also like to be familiar with these kind of things.
Can I ask another question that so I don't
Mhm.
forget?
Yeah,
When
sure.
so you said like the single flow idea.
Yeah, in also like in the oscillator and yeah.
So now let's say if you had it's a basic question. If you had multiple effects, then the second effect would only receive from the first effect. So if you, for example, diminished the amount of information because you manipulated it, the second one receives only the diminished amount.
Mhm.
That's how it is.
Yeah, it's left for right. Yeah.
So you could potentially like get really little.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, is there a rule about what you think would be better to go first in a flow, so that it wouldn't, for example, if you had a vocal and you wanted to manipulate it, like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, I think in general,
You just have to
don't
experiment.
experiment. Yeah, of course, but like not to process too much tools on
Right.
one thing. Like I think a sound source is very important. Like to create like the right sound source for you. So what it will be. So it means also the performance again. Like we were saying about performance. So if the performance is wrong and you're trying to change it with the audio effect, and you're trying to edit the stuff, and you're trying to make it so different, so it will be also a lot of time that you will invest on just doing it. And also sometimes it's not gonna be efficient as like to just re-record it, and also like just record it again, or make different performance maybe, because sometimes we need to change the performance because it's not set on the grid, and it's not suitable to the bass, it's not suitable to the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of style and experiment, and to see what you feel like, and to hear from other people what they think about it, because
Yeah.
sometimes we're so subjective about what we do, and it's also good in a way, but also can be not exactly what we want, because we want that other people will also enjoy it in a way. So it's back to the question of like what do you do about your creation, and how you like listen to references, and like a lot of things that's related to it as well. Also, for example, references. Another thing that you can kind of adapt to your mixing part. So it's to hear different sound, different songs, for example, and just to hear how it sounds because you like it, and then like you will start to sense how they locate the bass, and how they locate also the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also can be a reference, and then you want to do like similar mixing. So you listen to it, and then you do your stuff, and then you listen to it. So it can be a nice drill, and also can be like suitable to what you need.
Yeah.
But again, and then you just work through another pair of ears, no? Like
Mhm.
this is something that connected for me. Like, what is art in general? Like, if you just mimic something, it's kind of lose the authenticity of it. And I think, like a lot of the people, when they, also myself, when I'm trying to mimic something, it will hear differently, and it's good. Like I want to have like this kind of I'm kind of a reflection of someone else, and so it will be nice to do it. But sometimes we so biased from other songs, other people, what they say, and then like we lose our soul in a way. I would say.
I'm a fan of not asking anybody anything.
Yeah.
Just do your shit.
Do your shit. Yeah,
But
I
the
think
ear
it's very
fatigue
important.
thing that you mentioned in the
Ear
first
fatigue.
thing is real.
Yeah.
It's
totally.
very super real.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's
Seven hours on a
psychoacoustic.
Song, you're like, fuck, dude, this
And-
ain't real.
And it's psychoacoustic aspect and rules and stuff like that like they realize that it's kind of
But it also
underlined.
it happens with other people's music too. You hear it the first time, you're like, this is so boring.
So boring, and then you
whatever.
see
And
again
then
and again,
actually
you
this
get
is so
used to
good.
it. And sometimes we need to get used.
You learn like to like.
Yeah, habits, you know, like
Weird.
the same thing. So yeah, it's a good point. Like yeah, your fatigue is something you
Well,
know. So I would say like if
you
you
listen to my song 3 times then.
Please.
like take breaks like regularly, it's very important.
Yeah. Maybe hit
So
yourself
also
in the head.
while production and also while mixing and so on. So
Smoke
I
a
will
lot, just
take like
smoke a lot of weed.
every 1 hour, every 2 hours, like yeah, coffee break, go for nature, whatever.
Go for nature.
Yeah, nature is
I
always.
like to work on multiple tracks at one time. That's kind of my favorite thing
Yeah?
to do. Yeah, so you
It's-
can like work for a little bit, flip it around, work on
Yeah.
something else. Because it gets not even ear fatigue, but just like it's so easy to overthink this shit when you can move every little thing. It's like nice to
Mm-hmm.
move through other things.
And yeah, so tuning, for example, if I want to change the tuning, I will search for something that say semitones, octave, detuning, and then I will start to see it. And if I don't see it in my tools, let's see, for example, if I'm gonna pick something, let's check this one, and also I will use the tuner to make sure that I'm tuned to what I need, because it can be tuned. So I'm just pick the tuner from the audio effect, and then
Oh right.
now when I'm also I want to check that my MIDI keyboard it's synced to the tune that I have here, because sometimes it will be like, oh, I want to play C here, but it's actually G here.
Yes. This I noticed.
So you check with the tuner. So now I see that it's C. And if I'm now it's C, D, and white was, yeah, and
This is so fun.
you have different like
I need to take a music theory class. It's a lot to learn about music.
yeah, a lot. And when you come from different perspectives, so it's actually emphasis something else. For example, if you go from synthesis to learn music theory and stuff like that, it's completely specific to something that is not very specific to an instrument. Like they will not talk you about like let's say waveform.
Yeah,
They will not care about it.
Totally.
And for synthesis in general or mixing, it's super crucial to understand it. So music theory, it's also, it depends on from which
Yeah, it's
angle
also the
you
whole world.
explore it, yeah. And then like if I want to tune it, like I don't have, this is just like kind of observer. I cannot change it from here. Like if I will touch it, it's not will make something. So I need a tool that actually will change it. And I don't think it's not built in here. So they have different. Yeah, this one is like tune gentle, tune like you have different tools for that. And then you have more control and understanding what you can do with it. So now I see I'm A.
Actually, I think I did this on one of my clips, and then it applied to the whole level, on the whole track on the arrangement. Is that, I don't know why. It applied, like, I did that, I added that to one clip,
Okay.
but then every clip on that track of the arrangement.
Yeah, because it was, I think, on the track itself, not on the clip. Always, all this kind of tools is on the track. It's not on the clip. Clip is another container inside of the track.
I know, but I clicked on the clip, open clip view, put it there.
But it will
It's
be
still-
it's still on the track
Still on the track.
because you cannot have a clip outside of the track. So it's all like all the devices that you have, it's on the track. It's not on the clip.
Okay.
A clip is just the performance, you can say,
Yeah.
but it's not the tool
Okay,
itself.
that's
You
good
know,
to know.
it's not the instrument.
That's pretty basic.
But here, basically, when you change the tuning, so you have the pitch. Pitch is, yeah, one.
But what if you
Usually
decide-
it's one semitone, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like, usually it's like this is how you change it. So it's I will change it from here like one. And if you want to, this is nice because you have fine tuning, and then you can get to this kind of water sound and like more like oud and different instruments from the Oriental music. And this is how you would do it. But for example, if I'm now, you see, I'm on C, and I want to start to change. So what happened here? Look, my tuner, it's before my my tune system. So again, now what happened here? It's not showing this. Wow, it's a bit strange why it's not showing it. Because also it's single flow from left to right. So this is why, for example, when I went changing the pitch, but it showed me the same thing, it's because it's still like get the sound from left to right. So here it was tuned, and here it's not, because it's went from here, and then here it's C, but here it's changed to D.
Right. So it's
So
still
it's-
referring to what came in, not what came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have also adjustment here, like sometimes you have the post effects, like post effect and pre effect, and then it's also related to,
No, what do you mean?
like sometimes you can edit also, so if you want to have it post, like after what you will do and
Uh-huh.
before pre. So it's also about like how
How?
the master
Where can you do
works.
that?
For example, send, you see this kind of aspects, send post.
Yeah.
So now, for example, if I have something here, so this is my tracks, and they will go to the main. So the main, how I think about it, the main is the ocean, and this is kind of the rivers that like go to the ocean, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have option here to send it to like post, so it's kind of process it in a way that it will go to the ocean, and then like it's create this kind of overlapping in a way. And if it's pre, it will start like normally. So
What
also
are
it's
you
in
referring
terms
to
of
right now?
single flow.
To be, yeah.
So it's something that's related to the single flow, and also it's connected to how you process. Like, you don't have the tool here, but basically I mean that you can send the single flow to different location if you do post and pre, and so you can send the single flow to get in after or before the process, like the audio effect. And yeah,
You can send it to the master though.
yeah,
Before, pre or post. And then so you
like
can,
it says this also here.
But you would do that like to do the effects on the master instead? Is that why?
Yeah, yeah.
But like so how but this is on the main, so that would apply to all of the tracks, right? Like
Yeah, this is for the whole thing. This is the
Do
master.
they also have a pre or post? I don't know, whatever. That seems like really complicated. I don't think I
So it depends on the
I-
setting.
can look at it later.
Yeah, they don't have it here like when you see it. Like they don't have it in the built-in track. But sometimes you have it on the device that you use, so it will show you that like you can edit the single flow. But if we go to the sends here, So it will say pre and post. You see, pre and post toggle.
Mm-hmm.
So if set to pre, this return track taps each clip, track, single, pre fader. To pre fader, to the like before fader, it's the tool, like you can say the slider or the fader, the volume, and if it's set to post, this return tracks taps clip tracks post fader. So pre fader, post fader. So post tracks, main tracks, and pre.
Yeah.
Because this is the fader of the whole thing.
Mhm.
Like so, also again signal flow. So we have the signal flow that come from the MIDI. It's go to the audio interface, go to the computer, to the CPU, and then it's go to the buffer size. Sorry, buffer size before, and then CPU. Like it's connected in a way, and then it's go from there to the tracks that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and from the tracks it's go to the master or the main.
Okay.
So this is like the general overview of like the single flow. And then the fader here, you can do it pre-fader and post-fader.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mean how the track like how the return tracks taps each clip.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get into it maybe in the future, but it's not that like crucial for now. To like always the default mode is good for beginning, you know. Yeah, do you have any question or something that you?
That shit is way too past my I don't
Hmm.
I just wrote down the words and I was like, for later.
I can't comprehend that. I'm keep it basic, but no, I'm good, man. Honestly, I feel like I wish I came with some work that I had done. I kind of didn't have time, so.
You want to show us your?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you ready for my audio?
So
Are you ready to
stop
go on
my
an audio journey?
Totally.
stopping the recording.
Let's go.
It's a window into my dorky family dynamic.
What I have a question. What is your intention for taking the class? You want to be a producer? What do you